Is there
Oh,
a,
really? So my daughter.
another water available at all?
Yeah, nobody asked that question?
So
Your daughter was,
Yes,
the
please.
age was
Yes,
class of
please.
'89?
Shannon and Don were in the same class.
Oh, so she was in Sam's class, or were they a year ahead?
You'd have to ask your
Thank you.
wonderful husband about that.
Oh, that's good.
Yes,
They-
we did.
Yes,
Thank you.
they're all.
I ought to give it to Carrie.
It's a small community.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Carrie.
They're wolves.
And the thing is that,
Don't show me, Carrie.
so I can remember.
You gave me
when-
trouble for my shoes the other day.
Your shoes are full.
Jim Bonney was running the sand trap. And his son, Shane.
So are the soles felted?
Shane couldn't do anything at school.
Silly.
Shane couldn't do anything at school and get back
They're very
before
comfortable.
Jim found out about it.
I've never heard that rant before, ever.
And Shane would always say,
Wow, look at it, I'm official.
and I tell Shane, I said,
Yeah,
you can't do anything
and I'm getting rid of this
in
now.
this community without
And I think you're
somebody.
gonna the budget you made me, so I'll go to the bathroom either, because you'll get appointed to something.
You know, that's what I told my kids. Go ahead and do the deed if you want
Paying
to.
attention.
Think about the consequences before you do the deed. I'm gonna find out.
Kids have no chance in this community.
I'm pretty sure he was in my sister's class.
Well, I'll ask him. I'll ask him when he shows up on
Callie is her name.
Cali.
Is that the Cali that kid lived in?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
The same one where we got a kitten from you.
that's right.
Caleb the surfer.
Yes.
Yes.
CALLI or K?
I don't run it with him.
K-A-L-L-I-E.
Second year of the ball.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Was he drunk?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
But we didn't have to get into
Pretty
it.
sure.
There's
Pretty sure that they,
25
his
firefighters
name is
came
very
out.
familiar.
Everything calmed
Where,
down.
where did this happen?
Firefighters ball about 2008, 99.
Sounds like him.
Yeah.
Who was
Okay,
that?
you guys ready?
Yes.
City of Gearhart work session for May 30th, 2023. It's called to order. I would ask for a conflict of interest, but we're just doing a work session, so we can just go ahead. All right. Chad, do you have anything you want to add to all the other paperwork that you've given us?
No, I tried to take it easy on you today, Mr. Mayor. I did give you folks some maps and some setups of the upcoming events that we've got, both the street dance and the 4th of July. So that's there. The current council goals project 23-24 sheet is in front of you. And then after that, I don't have anything else that's in front of you at the moment. You can.
You have a task sheet? I have mine, but I don't have the new one.
I don't have a task.
This is from,
The old one, the one we got a month ago.
yeah, this is from,
Christie
Oh, I
made
have
copies
one.
in case anybody forgot to bring it,
Yes,
but
that
we
one.
were supposed to bring the one from 2 months ago.
Here, maybe.
I brought
2 months ago.
Yeah, right,
This-
that's what he's
do you have
referring.
this?
No, I don't have that.
So here are the council work session.
Okay.
All right, let me just look at it. Thank you.
What else, do you have one of those as well? I can make a
Thank
copy of that.
That's
I
fine.
don't think I've done anything inappropriate on it yet.
I'll double check that.
So anyway, this was.
Yeah, I just brought this.
Okay.
Oh,
And then this
oh,
was the,
wow.
this was the worksheet, right? This is
Wow.
City Hall administration,
Yeah.
all this, this and that parts. There's another part, so I made notes on it. And this was, you know, projected.
Yeah.
budget Or whatever it is. And then police department, fire department, public works, planning.
Okay, I'm ready.
You remember this?
No, I see, I left all. I
And then
left-
these are, and then these. are-
You're making 2 copies?
5 of them.
Thank
Just in
you.
case. Well, I got a call from Chrissy.
Well, I did too, but I didn't, I just brought the color thing.
The original mayor. You.
Share.
And one for you.
Thank you.
Got one for you. Video.
Oh my God. Takes us back a while.
Faces back to the buzz, whatever that food was. Okay, so we have everything in front of us. Where would we like to start, Mr. Mayor? Would you like to work with the council goals and talk about priorities that the councilors interested in? Or we can work on the setup of the two events.
I'm sorry,
The setup of the.
yeah, let's take care of this because the others.
Okay.
We've got one other thing that we're gonna put on the agenda is Councilor Gold wants to talk about signs for illegal fireworks. And is that correct?
Yeah, that was part of the agenda that was posted, part of the July 4th, yeah, July 4th setup. Yes, please.
Okay,
Okay. So you have in front of you a sheet that has two signs on it. This is a document that's been kind of a working document for years. Did you get one? Yes. Okay, good. And through practice, trial and tribulation, we've come up with this plan. So the first on the back is the 4th of July setup. The 4th of July, it shows the golf course that's in there. 4th of July has been an event that, of course, we've done for many, many years. We've made a few adjustments over the last few years to make things a little bit safer with the setup. The way that we are starting the event and backing people in and getting them ready to go is been working really, really well.
This is for the parade.
This is for the parade, 4th of July parade.
All right.
Thank you, sir. So basically, what we're doing is we're starting here at about 7th Street with that first blockade. It's up here at the top. And then we are staging everybody who is coming into the parade behind that between 7th and 10th. That way we don't have anybody beyond 10th or down 10th because there's so much traffic that happens on the 4th of July for that particular day. So we block at 7th Street. And then before the parade starts, we start, so the blockades start at about 10 o'clock in the red blockades. Then we added yellow blockades just as the parade approaches. So that way we can keep traffic flowing because there are people trying to get to and from their homes during this particular period of time. Then we run through the Pacific Way, down past Cottage into the fire station where we have the hot dog roast. We show people the fire trucks, accept donations that are down there. No other major events planned. I know there's a young man going to be playing some guitar down there. He does that every year. He busts for money for the guitar and then he gives it to the fire station. The fire department will have one vehicle in this parade as normal. We're going to have one vehicle at the back, keeping things away from the parade, but only one going through. They'll have some candy. They'll have some people on that particular vehicle. And over the years lately, cleanup has really been a breeze. Back in the old days, it used to be candy wrappers and things everywhere, but these days that doesn't seem to happen as much. People kind of seem to be very respectful of it. We've got some volunteers that we're working on, and then I believe that Sharon, that Chief Hutch was going to talk about maybe getting some volunteers from the CERT team to help out with some of this as well. But the fire department has got this one covered.
Will the mayor be waving happily at the crowd?
Who's this? Well, no.
thank you.
Who's the master? Who's the grand poobah this year?
Was that the grand
Grand Marshal.
Grand Marshal of the parade? Well, I mean, I guess at this point it would be Mayor Smith. You are going to be in there, right?
Yeah,
On the fire truck?
I am.
Waving happily?
I've got it down.
It's wrist, elbow, elbow. I don't know how to
I
do
can't
it.
do the elbow.
I'll have to be able to. So pretty simple. We keep it very simple. We haven't had any accidents in the last 10, 15 years that I can recall, maybe even longer. And I don't have any other issues that we need to take care of. I think it's pretty well an automatic.
There haven't been any accidents since early 80s.
Yeah, kid got rid of it.
Well, only because he dropped off the trailer and got run over.
Probably one of the reasons we don't have any other vehicles now. And we don't let kids with the battery powered things, it's gotta be pedal powered, that sort of thing, so. Other than that, I don't have anything more to add, I think it's works pretty well.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Cleanup afterwards is what we've been talking about, 4th of July, 5th of July, but we'll get there. On the back is the street dance. We do block off, as you see, from Cottage to about 400 feet or so up Pacific Way. The cones are just set up to keep cars from parking there. That's what those are all about. Once we have the blockade up, we do some decoration with some lights, tables, chairs. We'll put signs up for the road closure. We're gonna get some porta potties installed. Again, they'll be here for the 4th of July as well. And for this, and we'll have those removed again. We've got a good amount of volunteers. Melissa is really in charge of this one, so it makes it easier on us. Public Works staff will help clean up again in the morning. So it does take a little bit of staff time, but I think that it's at the minimum that we can really do. So I don't have anything to add here either. This seems to be pretty smooth as well. Any questions?
So the porta potties are gonna be
But
over here where the trailer, where the homeless camp was gonna.
yeah, kind of got people excited. We've been putting them on the other side of the Connex near the fire station. That seems to be a better spot than over there. Easier for people to access.
West.
Yeah, that direction. And this is July 3rd, 7th, 10th. We've got July 4th. I don't anticipate it being that busy this year. It is on a Tuesday.
That just means everybody's got Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday off.
I don't know, we'll see. We'll
Are
see.
you talking the parade or are you talking the dance?
Well, the dance, I think, will be well attended because it'll be mostly the local folks or the residents and the second homeowners. The 4th of July, I don't anticipate it as being as busy, being this midweek 4th of July thing. If it was on a Sunday, Friday, Saturday, then I know it'd be pretty busy, but in the old hotel days, we used to downplay this kind of scenario a little bit.
I don't know, it's been weird. It's kind of feeling like we're getting busy, like pre-COVID busy again. It seemed very busy this last weekend.
It actually wasn't. It was crazy slow in a weird way. The 2 times I hit the beach, one was Friday afternoon right after work, and the other was Saturday, kind of a couple times. The entrances were busy, but the mid parts were empty. And I didn't expect to see that. And then on the highway, when we were running that call on Saturday night at the firefighters' ball, the highway dead, spooky dead. So I don't know. We'll see how it hits, but I think we're prepared. I know that we're gonna have some help with the sheriff deputies. We're gonna have Ian here for both of these events. Or except for the street dance, actually.
So
No, they're here for the street dance actually as well.
But that gets over before it gets dark.
The 4th of July parade goes, yeah.
No, I mean, on the street dance.
I don't know.
maybe it ends at 10, so it depends on what time the sun goes down.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, it's 3rd of July,
Close,
right?
it's pretty close,
I
yeah.
mean, June 26th is the longest day, so.
June
Yeah,
21st.
it might still be like-
21st, I'm sorry.
Winter solstice, summer solstice. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident that I think we've got this covered this year, and I don't anticipate anything crazy.
So where are we at with fireworks being shot off in the city limits?
Still a probability, people doing that. It's become less and less over the last couple of years comparatively. It really has.
Not my neighborhood.
It seems like people are kind of chilling out about it, but it's still probably going to happen. We didn't have any ordinance changes about that, but we've got more coverage than we had last year. So in regards to the sheriff's department.
Can I say something about this?
Sure.
Okay, when I was fire chief in this town, right, I'd get a letter from the fire marshal's office every year. It would say, you need to take control of your beach. The response, my response was, it's not our beach, okay, it's a state park, okay? Fireworks in this town from the time that I was born here have been just a way of life for one day. I don't care how many police officers you want to put on. I don't think that you can even, if people come down from Portland to Seattle,
Right.
they're gonna do what it is that they're gonna do.
So
So the reality is that you're gonna have,
I'm not talking about the beach.
no, I know, inside the city. The reality is that you're going to have.
And I'm not talking about July 4th. I'm talking about up to 2 weeks ahead of July 4th. And maybe a few days after July 4th.
Good luck to you in trying to catch somebody.
You can't, because what
Exactly.
happens is they light them and then they leave.
Or say it wasn't.
That's the reality, reality of it.
Well, how can these cities have ordinances
They might
against
as well-
no fireworks?
They might as well be blowing into the wind.
They do, and Portland did it recently, and they still had a lot, like a lot of people. Ordinances work so well, and I think it maybe helped, but it didn't stop it for sure. So I think this year, if everything goes well, I anticipate between about the third week of June, we should have our new fire chief or police chief on. I'm saying it'll probably be the beginning of July, but just in case everything works out, the third week in June is kind of the plan. But you know, we'll let him get the lay of the land and figure out what's going on, and then through discussions afterwards, we can kind of get it figured out. But all cities in the community, and Cannon Beach has a very tough ordinance, yet they still experience, you know, things going off and happening. Kind of see how it comes up.
I can tell you that one of my neighbors, I knew exactly who it was. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago. His kids were lighting off fireworks in the street right behind my house. And I knew who it was, and because I went out and looked. And I did call the police, and I think one of the policemen, I don't know if it was Jeff or Ian, came up. And the kids hadn't left, they were still standing out in the street, and he did talk to them and they stopped doing it. So occasionally it does work.
Yeah, that helps.
My whole philosophy was, as long as they do it in the street where they can't cause a fire, as long as they're doing it on the beach and shooting them out over the water, instead of up into the beach grass. You know, I mean, I see Washington is trying to ban sale of fireworks up there. Good luck.
Well, I propose that we put out reminders like we've always done, and refresh them, come up with a new flyer that we email to everybody that gets the water bill, put it on the blog. And then I would like to create some, it used to be that they would put signs that said, you know, like the fireworks that go up in the air. Yeah, flyers or explosives are illegal. Just a little reminder, so we do what we can, educate who we can. But yes, at some point, you're gonna have to realize that there's just, even if there was law enforcement, I've worked 4th of July's before, and it's like running around trying to fix a dam with bubble gum. It just doesn't, you know. But the ordinances are in place to prevent people from being able to buy within your city limits, and to give the law enforcement the tools to handle the people that are just, you know, they're out there drunk and unsafe, and it gives them a tool to use. But the fireworks are gonna be the fireworks. So maybe we remind people in our flyers, if you have pets, you know, keep them indoors, you know, that kind of stuff, the typical 4th of July stuff, and we could come up with that, and I'll provide that to you if we can email.
I would like to add to that, and I would like to see something written on there about fireworks are very frightening to many pets. Some people, I don't think understand that. So I'd really like to see that written on there.
Okay.
Okay, we take some notes, we'll come up with a little communication plan, we'll make sure that we have flies or exploded signs. You know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
that Bowman designed, we'll have some of those ready to go. That the communication will help out a little bit. Anything else on
Yeah. Sparklers. metal sparklers. Those are the most dangerous things that kids can have,
Yeah.
okay? I mean, I've never understood why everybody wants to worry about firecrackers when kids can poke their eyes out with the sparklers.
We got a lot of differing opinions on fireworks here in town. Some love, some hate, and I think it's just trying to find that balance and try to minimize what we can, but it is a bit of an endeavor, you know, when you're out there and you're outnumbered, especially on the beach, but
Yeah, well, and just like she said, I mean, it's gonna be just the other night, somebody let off a mortar, and I thought it was gonna come in through my window.
Yep.
You heard the boom, and then you knew. So yeah, I mean, people are gonna be wishing us a happy 8 PM next Tuesday, from now until then. So if we can just come up with a general, and have the fire department look it over, and the police department look it over and say, yeah, that's message that we wanna send, and email it to everybody. I already talked to Christy, and she said that would be a problem, and put it on the blog. Ask the people who have the rentals to please make sure it's included in their welcome package for people, so that they know that, you know, this is generally a community, a small community where we care about our neighbors, so. If you're gonna have fun, do it carefully and politely, as much as possible on July 4th.
do dangerous things carefully.
Yes.
Got it. It's my little way.
And then also in that, we need to do, I think, or is it time to talk about the signs? And yeah, just segue right into that. I mean, we know that July 5th, we're gonna wake up and it's gonna be on all social media that there's a big mess out on the beach, and people are gonna be irritated for a week. We're gonna hear about it in this city council meeting, and rightfully so, because we know it's coming. So there's a lot of citizens that are already geared up and ready to do a cleanup. They're just looking for us to say, yeah, that's what we wanna do, and say, yeah, let's organize this. I got a message from Candace on the Gerhard Homeowners Association saying that they really want to get behind the July 5th beach cleanup, and that last year was really a mess from 10th Street all the way up, or 10th all the way up to Del Rey, where people can drive. So they're prepared to help out with whatever expenses are necessary. They're offering a drop box, gloves, sharp containers, etc. She's asking if there's a chance to get a porta potty on 10th for the weekend. Pros and cons, because they said that there were a lot of people defecating out on the beach last year.
Has every year before.
Yeah, it's probably about a couple thousand people,
Yeah,
and yeah, I think a porta potty is good for 20.
yeah,
You know, no, I think it's more than that actually. But yeah, so that would be, yeah, that's one of the bigger things, is people climbing up those dunes and doing their thing. And then we see the toilet paper, all that, but
And you have to remember, it's a state park.
right, no, I get that.
City of Gerhard isn't responsible for that.
I know, but these are folks that want to take responsibility for it, because the state's not gonna show up to clean it up, and if they don't, then it's gonna end up being our mess the next storm, and it's gonna be out in the sea and everything, so.
do you think the
They
cleanup
care.
folks want a porta potty? Is that kind
I'm
of
sorry,
the cleanup folks, people doing the cleaning, like we were talking about down by the
State
I'll
park
talk
goes
to
all the way
Candace,
on out
if you'll get some prices on the
survey,
bodies and look at the logistics of that, what I'll do is I'll put something on the blog
So that's the reason why the city of
and
Gerhard gained
talk to
about
Candace again. And to a couple of people I know on the Gerhard Association that are really behind this. And I know that it's been on social media too. There are a lot of people that are very invested in this. So I'll put something out and see if I can get them together and really just let them, you know, get them all in one place and have them hash out the ideas, and we'll present it to you.
Okay, cool.
But then as far as signs, I think that, you know, like you said, there used to be the signs.
This is
We
the
can
promote.
also, yeah, to talk about what's legal here, but also to ask people to clean up, that there isn't, that we don't have a lot of services here. And that we need people to, if you take it out there, you need to bring it back and try and educate people. I know,
You'll
I know.
pack it and pack it out.
Right. If I would like to see us invest in some banners that we could use year after year after year, and we put them down on like G Street, one on Packway as you come in, one up on what they're calling a Gerhard Lane loop now, and maybe one down by 10th Avenue, one by Packway up here. and one over on Wellington, and whether they're banners or the old sandwich signs, the folding signs or something that we can put out and take back in. And like you said, maybe some of the signs that people can put in their yards, reminding people, hey, I've got dogs here and please be, please be courteous with your fireworks. I think it'll make people happy. We keep those and we just reuse them year after year.
I think that's a good idea. And also on that sign is if you're going to, use fireworks, then please use them on the beach out towards the water.
Okay, yeah, and we can put that in the flyer too, so that goes in with the safety.
That's the biggest problem. People come down here, and they're all having a beach party and they're all drinking and stuff like that. And you start shooting bottle rockets and Roman candles, stuff like that. And about the time July 4th comes around, within the beach grass is starting to dry out.
Right.
And the worst thing the fire department wants is to have a northwest wind blowing with the beach grass.
A bunch of homes with cedar shake on the side, so.
Well, basically.
No, I get it. So we'll
Okay.
try to educate as much as possible in advance and then plan for a cleanup, because we know we're gonna have to do it.
And it's a whole new generation, Chad.
You don't seem to be doing crazy stuff that we used to do, but we won't talk about the fire station right now.
We won't. It's beginning.
We just take care of all the ones that were confiscated the year before.
Yeah, wait a minute. Bowman never turned over any fireworks whatsoever to the fire department.
So what's next?
And where do we do that?
Gee whiz, I wonder why.
That was the old days, Sharon.
And where did we do that?
Right on the beach in front of 10th Street. We had the biggest party out there, but hey,
No, it was between tents.
Now, so we were talking about the sign ordinance earlier on public spaces, and it's, you gave me the sign ordinance for the public spaces, but if we wanted to put it on, say, private property, like, for example, on some of the private property that's owned right
12
there.
inches by 12 inches is the limit for private property, residential homes.
Okay, so we're better doing it in the public spaces, using the public spaces, and that is that it can't exceed 12 square feet.
Temporary signs for.
Oh, temporary is
8
8 square feet, so 2 by 4. It's not, that's not a super big sign, but,
I think they're 25-mile-an-hour signs though.
okay,
You know what I mean? Like the faster you go, the bigger your sign needs to be. And I think that if we can get something about that size, then around town, people will see them.
well, and if we need to, we can do more, but it would be cheaper just to be able to get one basic white one with black lettering on it. You could probably get that for,
And every year it can say beach cleanup.
Yeah.
July 5th,
right,
meet at the beach,
right.
something like that.
Why can't it be a 4x8 sheet of plywood for this exception, for this deal?
It's not legal, sir.
It did, yeah,
Can
it
we make an
doesn't,
exception?
Yeah, that's a code enforcement issue, and that comes up later.
Can't we make an exception?
The council can. The council could
if
say that.
if we can waive this for, for city purposes only for this weekend, for, public safety purposes for the weekend.
That's the thing that I don't understand about this county. Why is the city so, blinders on when we want to make an exception for 4th of July or Memorial Day or whatever it is? We can do whatever we want,
Well, it's just the way the word,
basically.
Yeah, but you always set a precedent and then
Yeah.
that
It's for specific,
doesn't stop people from coming in and saying, well, you did it for that, so.
just tell them, you know what, just tell them I'm sorry, but we have our specific sign ordinance increases
okay,
for these specific dates.
well, so I wouldn't want to get obnoxious with this, so I mean, if we couldn't fit it on a 8 square foot, we could do 2 8 square foot signs to get our message across, place 2 of them side by side, and then we're not exceeding it, because it doesn't say,
It does say signs.
It says
Doesn't say
signs,
sign.
yeah, it doesn't specify the number of signs you can do. So if we have to do more than one sign, I just would not want to make it obnoxious or again set precedent that, you know, somebody else could then, every time they have a wedding or something, then we start seeing signs or.
Actually, the literal reading of that code is temporary signs with an area not exceeding 8 square feet. So that could, I mean, either way, if we keep them decent and we put enough of them out, I think people will say it. I don't know that if the council gives us a thumbs up, you know, individually and says, yeah, we don't have any problem with it, then we'll be fine.
And I would say we should put them up, you know, by the Wednesday, the week before. And then if they'll last, weather permitting, as long as we're not gonna get a real weather event.
And
At least before the weekend, because you're gonna start coming in on Friday, Thursday and Friday.
Normally Memorial Day is the last weather event of the summer.
Hopefully, yeah,
When the tent almost blew.
knock on something.
Yeah.
I just planted a bunch of new plants. They're not a jinx me. Okay, so I'm satisfied with that. And then, like I said, I'll get hold of the citizens that have been asking about that and tell them to,
okay, Dave, we'll work with Christie on that.
yeah, start directing them to.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Dana.
Then we'll move on to goals. Does anyone want to read off their priorities?
Well,
Okay,
I mean, I haven't. Out of all of them, number one, and I think this was Preston that brought this up. Want to look at change in terms of employment for department heads. Were you the one that brought that up?
I was the one that brought up the probation period.
Number two, I would love to have a water tutorial for myself, but for all of us would be great. And by that, I mean, okay,
Well, I went over to Public Works and Mark spent a couple of hours with me going over the whole water thing.
yeah,
It was awesome.
I would love to hear all that because I have like a million questions about our water situation and our water usage and our water costs and blah, blah, blah.
We had a lot of questions at the
Homeowners.
homeowners association. Well,
So a water tutorial with the / discussion would be wonderful.
It might be a good time to do that also, since we're considering an increase people. It's gonna be a topic, so.
okay, because under the water side of things, not to get sidetracked, but I think that the 4 things we're working on there is conservation, water rights, water reduction, water rates, which includes the SDC conversation. So I think the more that you folks know, we can put together an in-depth public welcome.
Right.
Talk about where we're at, what we do, how we do it, how it operates, where our wells are at, where our issues are, what they aren't, and that sort of thing. And then that would
Water
be
testing would be
a good
interesting.
start. Yeah, a good start for getting into the conversations afterwards. Okay, got
Yeah.
that.
So, and I don't know if we want to maybe have that be a public forum kind
If
of.
we were to get all of us together, it would be a public meeting, and I don't think there's any harm in that.
Okay, number 3. I would love to be able to ask the police chief to look at all of our ordinances and give us any suggestions or comments that he has, because he's going to be having to enforce some of those.
Yeah, we have a lot in the police category this year, the things that we want to accomplish, and that is one of them, Sharon. Which also includes, you know, the new chief, looking at procedures / lexical training, the ordinance review, and then the police officer recruitment. That should take much time.
Okay, number 4, along the lines of considering electric vehicles for the maintenance department or for the city, I would love to see some documentation of the maintenance vehicle use In other words, in the past, my understanding is they have said, well, we can't use electric vehicles because we never know when we're gonna need to hook one of these vehicles up to tow, blah, blah. Okay, so but we don't have any documentation of what gets hooked up when, how often, which vehicle is used. We have no information to go on to make those kinds of decisions. So I would love to see some documentation for maybe a year. So we have an idea of what's going on with our vehicles. Does that sound reasonable to you guys, or?
Yeah, I think I'm always for documenting what's happening with our vehicles. I did a little bit of research after we talked and learned that one of the vehicles is a 2000, one of them's a 2012, one of them's a 2014, one of them's a 2016, and they're all running really, really well. So it might be a little premature to think about the expense of changing all of that over to electric vehicles, especially when we have not figured out yet the fire station, police station setup. And to me, it would seem that if you're going to set up electric charging stations, that would, naturally become part of that project. Bowman's vehicle is due to be put into circulation and be used as a staff vehicle when they don't need to tow things. But I think somewhere down the road that might be appropriate to get electric vehicles as a staff vehicle for them to use. But I don't think that electric vehicles are, I think they have a point as far as a lot of the stuff that they do is responding to, the storms that we have here and moving things and hauling things, and they don't know what they're gonna have to do, and it might be appropriate for us to have a service or a staff vehicle that's electric, but they're trucks until technology catches up with that. I don't think that that's gonna be a good thing for our buck, especially in storms when we know our electricity is gonna go out.
Right, but and Chad, please chime in on this. The way that I would foresee this happening is maybe the 2000, whatever, 1 or 2000 vehicle would be the first to be phased out. I don't know how that works.
I think that whenever we go to look at a new vehicle, we should have a conversation about whether or not an electric vehicle could.
Right,
replace
but we
Right.
can't
this.
make that decision without knowing which vehicles are used for what purposes. Does that
Sure.
make sense? I mean, I don't wanna like come in and say, oh, well, okay, I'd love to see an electric vehicle. Then we get an electric vehicle and then they're like, well, we can't really use it. And
Well, we won't let you get that far in regards to that.
I know, but I'm
Because, it'll come from the staff part of things, and what Dana was saying is the technology is not quite there for utility work on electric vehicles other than for the staff vehicles and traveling and that sort of thing.
I mean,
Pickup
don't they
trucks.
have
I think-
150s now that
I
are?
do.
Well, they've got that size, they've also got the Chinese, Japanese electric trucks that you see around, and if they're going around picking up garbage, that would be an ideal time to have that. And it would show a proactiveness on the side of the city working toward a more environmentally productive vehicle. I don't want to say that. I
But I
take that
guess-
all back. It's not environmentally productive.
No, it is not.
No,
I guess my question is though, how is that reflected on our goals list? Because we're certainly not in a position to say we want to go to electric vehicles, so let's put it on our goals list and let's start buying electric vehicles. Because if none of these vehicles are ready to be circulated out and replaced right now, we could just say it's our mission or our overall far-reaching goal is to do that, but just like you said, every time we buy a vehicle, to do some type of an analysis and determine if this might be an appropriate time to replace it with an electric vehicle.
So couldn't that go under number 12?
Yeah, I'm just saying how, it's kind of odd to me to have that on the goals list. Or to have it as a number one, unless we have a vehicle right now that needs to be replaced.
It is under self-sustaining community, to investigate alternative fuel vehicles, and You know, we were actually even considering coming to the council in the future about taking a staff vehicle, because I'm driving my truck, that doesn't really happen. And then occasionally we gotta go out and do that sort of thing. We thought that the staff vehicle was the best way to start. You know, things doing building codes and all that. But then when we phase out a police vehicle, we're taking off the stickers and the lights, and then we'll be using that, so that is kind of recycling. But if the city really wants to get into the electrical side of things, when we go to replace a vehicle, we can make it happen. Then we should talk about that. We can talk about the size of the trailers that need to be towed, the size of the hauls, how often it needs to work. Can it be a city vehicle rather than going out in the district or in that sort of thing? And I think that every time that the city council looks at a potential purchase, because we do those from the reserve accounts, then we can have a portion in that report to say, electric vehicle could or would not work, and these are the reasons, and this is what we're thinking.
I mean, I can kind of foresee, and again, I don't know for sure, but you know, if Mark has to go somewhere to pick up a part, or if Mark is doing some water testing, or you know, things like that, none of that necessitates a gas fueled engine by any means, so.
There's some possibilities.
If we're talking about environmental, you know, saving the environment and everything, as long as America keeps stealing the natural resources, the lithium that creates these batteries from third world countries, okay? Southeastern Oregon has got this huge cauldron, right, full of lithium. That whole barrier going all the way down to the Salton Sea, right? If you think that coal mining is bad, I mean, just stop and think about this.
I thought.
And where does the electricity gonna be coming from? Not every area in the United States has a Bonneville Power Administration, okay, with dams. So we can have solar power, we can have wind power, but chances are you're gonna be generating electricity with fossil fuels.
You know what, I agree with you 100%, because I drive a plug-in hybrid. And I read all these articles about the lithium and that they're cutting down over in Indonesia to get the nickel. They're cutting down all the rainforests ad nauseum. I am very aware of this. And it's to me, it's heartbreaking. I'm hoping that humanity will come up with a better alternative in the next 5 years. I don't know for sure. You said, what did you say, magnets? Remember we talked about this and you said magnets. But anyway, that doesn't preclude us having this as a goal. Maybe it's not going to be electric vehicles. Maybe it's going to be something else that we are going to try and move towards. But it doesn't preclude, you know, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have this as a goal to work towards and to get some information about. I agree with you 100%. Believe me, I'm just like.
Okay. So we're gonna move on, okay?
But to start with, when purchasing the vehicles, we'll have the conversation.
And when that comes up, we will have the
Yeah,
conversation.
which unfortunately, or fortunately, we're in pretty good shape right now. Can't see that we're buying anything anytime soon. Yeah. Okay. Sharon?
Anyone else want to read pending goal list? Okay.
Are we working on the draft sheet or are we working on this?
Whatever you want to go off of right now is,
I'd like to go off the draft worksheet here, Leslie Miller Park. Irrigation for park grants.
Okay. That's what we just did about.
So. I don't know, with the water situation we've got right now and the availability that we have in the summertime. You know, the restrictions that we've got as far as pulling out of the wells and things like that. You know, in 76 years or 78 years that I've been around Miller Park's been exactly the same way that it's been. Not to say, you know, I mean, hell, when I grew up here, the only two places that had green grass was Dessendorf's property down there, Green Acres or Weiderhorns or whatever it is, and a little patch in front of the Gerhard Hotel. Everybody else just let their grass go, you know. So and this ties in with Leslie Miller Park. My thing is that we've got, I don't know how many people wanting to have benches with their names on it out there. I suggested this a couple, 4 sessions ago and every night that maybe what we should do on the east side of the park is to put up a memorial wall behind the barbecue pit. Okay. For people to be able to put their name plaques on there. I think that that's a better use of because the more people that come in, you know, they want to have a plaque for their dog, or their plaque for their grandchildren, or their plaque for their grandparents, or whoever it is. Okay, we've got a limited number of benches. And if, you know, I mean, as the dune keeps encroaching, you know, going west and everything like that, right now, you know, fortunately, Charlie Shea's widow dedicated a bunch of money to us to be able to have the city staff move the benches on out front. And, you know, some of them are in disrepair, some of them, you know, the ones that Gilbon and those guys put up that are basically ironwood and concrete, you know, you're still gonna have to move them on out there, but I think that you know, those are basically on state parks.
Yeah, so we're working through the bench situation. I just had a good meeting with Brenda Shea today as well. And as you've seen, some of the benches have been repaired and redone, and they're beautiful. And we're doing 3 more tomorrow morning in regards to pressure washing and getting ready. So the bench situation is moving forward, and we still have not yet put aside a lot of bench placement areas for new stuff. But I think we do have a list for that. But the watering portion of things, I do agree with. At this moment, until we can get through Water Resources Division and that thing, I think it would be better for the community to say, you know what, we have resisted at this point irrigating our parks. It doesn't mean that we won't do it in the future, but that's our mindset at the moment. And get through the water rights, the water rates, the water availability, the water agreement of Warrenton, and that sort of thing, and then we can begin talking about where we're at. You know, through water conservation, just this morning, Mark came to me pulling his hair out. We've used 666,000 gallons of water over the last 2 days. That's each day. That's a look at swimming pool. And we're beating May over last year by a large amount in regards to water usage. The weather is different. We had more rain last year. We don't have as much rain this year. We're going through a thing. So it's a going concern. So I would think that we should probably wait on any of the watering issues. Major trees, so that's not a big deal. Even like Mr. Mori, he just planted all of those bushes and trees like that. He's using about 8,000 gallons a day, you know, to water all that new stuff. So I did let him know. We made him aware of that, and so that he's aware of it. We're also going around, and in the mornings, we're going to start looking for, especially on rainy days, we're going to start looking for irrigation systems to go out. The city of Gerhard here, we just replaced our irrigation controller with one that's smart and it works on its own with weather and water and everything kind of taken in compliance. We did a Facebook or a blog posting the other day. We're going to continue to hit people with water conservation and try to get people to use less water in the next few years for sure, but we're on that now and we're going to start hitting it hard. So we've got concerns, we've got a lot of projects wrapped up in this. That's part of the goals discussion today is, you know, those are the things we're going to be working on that really make a difference.
Who created this draft worksheet, if I might ask?
That one was done by me.
Okay.
So I have a question for you. Is the park over here irrigated?
Only the
Just the garden,
the garden.
so not the grassy area.
Yes.
See, here's the problem. I appreciate all that, and I'm not big on irrigating stuff, but here's the problem with the Leslie Miller Park that people have in the summertime is all the little, what do you call them?
Sandburgers.
Goats heads or sandburrs?
They're
or-
sandbirds. Yeah.
And you can't run your dogs in there. Once those things are sharp, which I think they're already getting sharp, you cannot walk your dog. in
It
there
gets,
safely.
they get sharp in August.
Yeah, I'd like guys to run the grass a little bit higher, but without water, it's really a losing battle, because it'll die out, and those things will take over, but if you can get your grass higher, and chuck those things out.
So the question is, do we want to take a park, either that one or this one, and have it so that you can run your dogs around and play frisbee and stuff?
Well, that park down there stays green most of the year.
It's low, because it's lower, it's closer to the water table. I mean, you're not sand dune up there. I mean, you go anywhere in Gearhart historically. You get up on the upper dunes, and everything. I mean, Gearhart Golf Course used to be all sandburgers. You know? Now, we talk about water conservation and everything. How are our needs with the water aquifer in contrast with the Gearhart Golf Course and their water rights?
I'm not sure exactly, but Gearhart Golf Course has older water rights than the city of Gearhart does, with the exception of Thompson Falls, but that was taken away. So Thompson Falls was old water rights for the city of Gearhart. We got like a 2-inch water line. They used to feed the entire city.
Not in my lifetime,
Yeah, before you. I think.
before me.
Yeah. And so then when we went to Warrenton Water, we got off of that and lost that water right. The golf course has as much, if not more, water rights than we do.
They had #1 water rights on Neocoxie Creek.
Yeah. And so their water rights are secure. They're in a different aquifer than we are in. And when we've done this in the past, we've looked at cranberry bogs, we've looked at other water users to see if they have extra rights available. But there's this thing now called claim of beneficial use. So let's say the city of Gearhart is given 100 water rights, just making up some weird numbers. And let's say that over the years, we only used 50 of those water rights. We were only able to show that 50 of the water rights were being used. After a review, Water Resources Division does something called claim of beneficial use. And they say, well, you've got 100, you're only using 50, we're going to knock you down to 60. Make those water rights disappear. That's what Water Resources Division did to the cranberry bog farmers, the golf course, the city of Gearhart, the city of Warrenton. They knock down the water rights to what they're actually using. And then when you start growing, you need to expand, those water rights are no longer available and you have to apply for them. And that's exactly where we're at right now. So it's Water Resources Division getting more stringent and allowing for this. And so Warrenton's struggling, Gearhart, is struggling because of course we're buying still some water. Warrenton is looking at between a 400 and 700 home development that they're looking at. It's a new type of development. I won't go into the details, but it's basically one tax lot with 400 to 700 homes owned by one company, and they rent out everything that's in there, including a community center and trails and maybe a pool is all included in all that. So they're concerned that they won't be able to have enough water for that particular project that's very important to them. Hence, we're in the conversation right now. So those are just some of the lay of the land, and until we get a better idea with the group that we're going to be working with here on our water rights, I would say hold back on doing some of these things.
I think that's our answer then, and I think we can move on, because I would be pissed if you knocked on my door and told me to stop watering my plants and then started watering grass.
That's why we changed out our control.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
I think that you just answered the question.
And the only other thing with that is that we do need to flatten that park out too. That's going to be a little bit bigger of an ordeal. I wouldn't want to do the irrigation at all until we figure that out.
And Sharon, there's, we got the whole beach to walk the dogs on. You don't have to just do it in another park.
Yeah, here's the problem with the beach. The problem with the beach is there's a lot of stuff that dogs can get into that makes them sick. I found this out the hard way, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but they only get fish poisoning once.
Well, it's not just fish poisoning. I just read an article the other day about dogs drinking too much salt water and getting really sick. So there's a lot of hazards out there that I didn't know about.
People were talking about a dog park there for a little bit, but I think they realized that would be a whole lot of management. They never really turned out that great.
What are you talking about leveling Leslie Miller?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean Leslie Miller, but Trails End, sorry. Trails End is all that bump
Oh,
Probably.
geez, I'm going, man.
There's nothing.
That's leveled as much as I care to see it.
That is bad. I remember Mount Deerheart used to be up there too, that kind of helped. You know, when they took all the sand for the water treatment facility that up into that place and really compacted it down in that, but yeah, the old hotel grounds is very level.
Yeah,
Right?
okay,
That one there.
all right, well.
That's Gattaca West.
That was.
That's the third Gearhart Hotel.
But yeah, that's nice and flat.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
this one-
gonna bring up one other thing since we're on this subject and Chad is not gonna like me for this. Nope, because this was a big deal a few years ago. You guys took away a lot of our dog poop receptacles.
You're right.
Dog,
Shame on you.
We got rid of the dog poop garbage cans that went along with the dog poop bags. Our thought process was, I mean, they kept getting filled up with the garbage and then they were full, too much poop and the poop anyway. But our thoughts were, if it's your dog, it's your poop, you take it home. But that's always up to you.
But BB came up with the whole thing that it disintegrates, works, it changes itself into compost and I don't know, it was a whole fancy thing. Remember all that? She did all that research?
Wasn't the Gearhart homeowners, wasn't that a project of the Gearhart Homeowners Association that they had to take care of?
Yes.
Well, why aren't they taking care of it?
Why aren't they taking care of the planners down in central Gearhart?
I don't know, but if,
All
I
things in
don't know.
volunteerism sound really good until they kind of, the rubber hits the road after.
Exactly.
and is that what happening at their little Centennial Garden over there? Did they just plan it and say, okay, we did it?
No, we've worked on that.
Have-
really
or have
hard.
they-
They're working hard on trying to keep the weeds down there, but it is a good example of that was gonna be a volunteer effort, and now we're paying monthly fee to keep it as best we can.
And I'd like to say for the record, I saw somebody out there watering the planters today. I had to progress.
Oh, that's a whole other one, yeah, that's Wellington, I'm sorry, what's her name? That takes care of the planters on Cloverleaf Island.
Up that way,
That's,
so it's right here in the corner at the crossing.
that's Gadsby. That's
Gatsby, Ellen Gatsby.
Ellen Gadsby Pendergast.
So would it be an impossible task to ask Gearhart Homeowners Association to keep up with their doggy dispensers?
Yes.
Yes,
It
it's
just
an
won't-
impossible task or.
Well, it just won't get done. I mean, and that's the same thing with the benches and the gardens.
Didn't they just have their annual
It
meeting?
becomes our thing.
Didn't they just have their annual meeting?
They did, it was pretty good.
Did you attend it?
I did. With Carrie and Dana. It was a pretty good meeting. I thought it was positive.
Yeah, they filled up this room. We had people sitting on the ground in the back.
Yeah.
It was a
Good
good
times.
meeting.
But I agree, those are the sorts of things, I really don't wanna get in the dog food business, that was a lot of work.
Just give it back to them.
I mean, people are carrying their little bags around, and they're not as terrible, they're not being hanging in the trees.
I'll buy you a backpack for your dog. That's what I do. I put a backpack on my dog and she carries her bags when they're empty and she carries her bags when they're full until I can get to a garbage can and drop them.
Which is gonna be fine until it gets hot, because he can hardly stand the heat at this point, because he's black, and if you put a backpack over him, he's gonna die.
oh, you put a wet one on. A wet one? A wet one? Yeah. A wet one
So I have a
too.
backpack and one of those scarves that you
Okay.
get wet. So,
All right,
yeah, we gotta. We gotta.
Let's move on.
yeah, I'd like to if we can.
Okay,
Yes.
so dog poop, we're probably not gonna move anywhere on that right at the moment, but if it keeps coming up, then we'll talk about
Or
You
who's
mean
the
if I keep
president of the
talking
homeowners
about it?
association?
it. Candace Smith, and then I think she's got something in training. She's gonna retire for a little bit. They've got some new people on their board. And some new folks in town, it's.
Well, maybe we can jack them up.
Okay, Preston, you got anything else on this list that you want to talk about?
What is La Torte Garden?
Tourette.
Ladder, that is not the way you spell ladder.
Probably.
So that's the piece that Jeff donated, the corner there.
Correct.
Okay,
So that is irrigated.
maybe we should give that back to him.
We have, it's about to be refinished, so that's a pretty easy part. So I think that with the park things, we don't have a lot of plans out there right now. I know that we're kind of in flux whether or not we're going to develop these parks or not. I don't have any real set up goals as to how to move forward with that at the moment for any of our parks.
Well, if it's landscaping and it takes water, well, then I say we put it off.
Well, it's already watered.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's got a sprinkler system and a watering
You
system.
should always shut that off.
We'll water the smallest park in town.
Can I just be clear on this? Is it Lateret or Laterette?
It's Latterette. And the family goes way back and they've been here for
Carol Collin.
generations and well, the oldest Judge Latterette's house is down there on between E and D Street on the Ridgeback.
That's Carol Collin's house now.
Yeah, well, that's, great grandparents or great grandparents.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
No. No.
Okay, Rita, do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, the only thing I really wanted to talk about, Preston already brought it up, which was, I really want to get the benches project done. That's really important to me. It doesn't cost any money to get it done because those people who want plaques will pay for them. And we just have to install them and then a lot of people will be happy.
So are you thinking that you want to do plaques or you want to do benches with plaques?
If we do benches with plaques, the people will pay for them.
Right,
But there's only so many places that you can put a bench.
I know.
And that's why I said maybe we have a memorial wall up on Leslie Miller Park on the east side.
We can have both.
They can do, you can
Yeah.
put plaques on there and you can extend it all the way from Pacific Way to First Street.
That's true. I think both would be nice. And I just think it would make a lot of the people in town happy.
To move that one forward, we need to make determinations on where the community wants benches.
and we also need to make a determination on the style, because that was something, I don't know how long ago we were supposed to look
Yeah,
at.
that's true.
And are we supposed to do that, or is that something the planning commission should do?
Planning commission being that volunteer group is one that we've used citizen committees before. Planning commission's job is to do planning aspect and to be quasi judicial, like, in nature, making determinations on the rules that we have. But because they are a volunteer group and they're appointed, they're not elected, we have asked them to do a lot of things that an otherwise citizens committee would do. It's kind of, yeah, I mean, that's as clear as I can make it. It's not their job.
Okay.
To handle these kind of things, but sometimes they take it on. For example, now they're working on the tree situation. And we've got some information, I don't know if you received that lately. But West Haggard and
John Westbrook.
yep, are working on the tree situation. So they do work on that, but we do need some sort of citizens committee to discuss benches, where they should be placed, bring it to the city council. You guys can give it the thumbs up and then we can begin doing some work.
Okay, then let's put that on the agenda and we'll just have that as a topic for public input. And I can make an announcement during mayor's concerns or
Yeah.
something.
Or, yeah, and it's your purview to put together a citizens group. So if you've got a couple of people in mind that you'd like to put in charge of that, or that maybe have on that, talk to them, and then you can put together the citizens group, kind of how you'd like it to look prior to leaving it out to just anybody to join. Either way,
Sure.
that's an option for you.
And we're talking about benches inside the city limits.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not on state parks.
No, because we haven't gotten permission yet,
Yeah.
and we're still
I'm
trying
working
to,
on that.
right,
Yeah, as long as it's inside the city limits, I'm fine with that.
And again, remember, there are 20,000, she's doing a great job. I think there's gonna be a lot of money. She wants to leave this as a legacy, so there's probably gonna be money left over when we're done with this project. And then that will go into the future, and then she wants to continue to fund it to make sure it continually happens, so.
Talking about Shay,
Yeah, Charlie Shea, Brenda Shea.
okay, is there like a ton of money or? or?
Well, we're looking at about $500 of work per bench to pressure wash it.
No, I'm talking about the donation.
She gave 20,000. Actually, Charlie Shade's foundation did, and then she wants to continue to do that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Charlie's family goes way, way back.
Very nice.
Okay,
I do, oh.
I put that on
You
the
still need
agenda.
to go, you still need to go, and then I.
No, we've already talked about.
You're done?
And
Yeah.
we'll talk about mine.
okay,
Well, there were so many things that cost so much money. And I just wanted to go, I'm really cheap, so that's why I chose the bench.
It's okay, we kind of need that.
you're frugal, you're not cheap.
Yeah, I'm a very frugal.
Thank you.
Fiscally concerned. Financially responsible.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Financially responsible. Okay,
Yes.
Dana,
Yeah, we've already discussed it, or they're already addressing here, so we're gonna talk later about it, so I'm not gonna.
okay. Well, I'm not happy with the goals, period. I think there's way too many spread out. I'd like to take the time to work with Chad and see which ones we can redelegate to a different list.
Discussion.
A different list. You know, something like, they update the water conservation plan, water loss percentage. Those aren't our council goals, those are city goals, but they're under council goals. I'd like to have that all put on staff goals. If you understand.
Yeah,
you know,
kind of like
what I
a
mean.
staff goals for the departments and then one for the council's direction.
Right. And I'd like to come back and do this again, but after you and I get together and we weed this out, because when you look at it and you're going 34 goals for a council, we're never gonna get 34 goals done in a year or 4 years. I mean, realistically, but realistically, we could get rid of probably half the goals on this list and put it on staff goals and give them the direction that this is what you have as a goal and this is what we expect you to do. And here's your timeline we'd like you to get it done in. So you and I will get together and do that. I think we'll have another work session when we've got that all pieced out.
Okay.
Because as of right now, I think this has been a good work session, and I don't think this has gotten us too far.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So I put together a little sheet of things that we think are important now and that we will be working on to give you an idea of where our heading is here with staff at the moment. And these are things that are right in front of us, things that we can improve upon. So for example, the police department, just to know the new chief, procedures, training, ordinance review, police officer recruitment, okay? So that's really important. We've got a great opportunity right now. Under public works, exactly when you're talking about water, we got conservation rights, production rates, and the system development charge conversation. Under fire, new fire station, I know we're looking at not doing anything with the fire station for a year, give things a little bit of time to soak. But that will be coming up with and water tender replacement. There's not a lot of other things going on in the fire department right now, so that's good. Planning, some of the things that are of interest to us for other projects, including water, would be buildable lands inventory, looking at updating that again. That's going to be probably another countywide effort, so there's going to be some good savings for us to get in on that again. Urban growth boundaries along with that, zip code and code enforcement. For administrative, where we're very important to us to work out job descriptions. And then also to get our municipal ordinance online and our zoning ordinance online and searchable so that people have the information available to us. And we have a lot of work to be able to get it there. So those are some of the things that we're working on to give you an idea of the heading of the staff.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use this to kind of look, to divide that up between the goals of the staff and the goals of the council.
Right.
And I'd appreciate that actually.
What's happening with the zip code? Has the city of Gerhart heard anything?
Christie updated me this morning She's got a whole list of all the emails and calls that are unanswered, and there's probably a list of this long with them.
Oh, my goodness.
They're not responding to us, so I think we're at the point where we have enough evidence to say, hey, Ms. Bonamici, who put in a letter of support and request, we're not getting anywhere. And that's not that trying.
Okay, thank you.
What's the big deal?
People want their own zip code, some people want their own zip code here in Deerpark because the delivery issues now that Amazon and package deliveries become a much bigger thing in this world. is having some-
All the delivery guy has to look at is whether it's a street or an avenue.
Yeah,
That's all they have to do. Seaside's got avenues or streets, and Deerpark has the opposite.
seems simple, but it doesn't.
Well, all
It's
the
kind of calmed
package guys
down.
have to do is to look at their address.
The issues have kind of calmed down. We haven't had as many of them as we did there for a period of time, but I think people are also waiting for us to do it. It has a little bit to do with ISO and emergency services as well. There's been some confusion, especially with people calling in with addresses, not knowing where they're at, but there's really no major issues that are going on. It was just something that the public had instructed the city council to look into. Brett Warren started going down the process, and from there, we're dealing with the federal government not getting anywhere. So it's kind of where we're at, sir.
Postal Service has got their own problem.
Chad,
This thing,
can you just give us a quick idea of where we're at with the evacuation supplies and the facilities and what we still need or don't need?
we're doing really good with our supplies, but we need more of a team to go up and continue to organize inventory. We have everything that we set out to get, with the exception of some safety or some alternative power supply for the water reservoir that's up there, but that's
Thought
it.
you were gonna get a,
We're still, we submitted that grant like 2 years ago, and they keep telling us that, yeah, it's looking good. So that's all we know. We actually submitted for a solar power system. They said, no, that's not gonna work for emergency management, we need you to go gas. So we had to redo our thing, but we're still running for it.
does gas include propane or?
I think, yeah, but I think.
I think there's a natural gas line that runs all over too.
Yeah, I think that we went with something that we could supply, but I'm pretty sure it would be diesel.
I would think so.
Yeah,
If there's an earthquake, the natural gas line's gonna break.
Yeah, it's split.
yeah, that's why we had a problem with the fire station being diesel, but that, or get a natural gas, but that's why we're going with diesel at the water treatment facility.
Okay, can the CERT people go up there and organize, help organize?
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah, it's not emergency, everything's looking good, but we can take it to the next level, you know, with organization.
Okay.
Rotation.
And not to go off into the weeds, but just real quick, at the meeting, at the association meeting last week, they talked about CERT and asked for volunteers, and they're doing a push and explained to everybody that they're trying to revitalize that program.
And we talked about water conservation as well to that group, and we talked about water rates. We let them know a bunch of stuff that, you know, hopefully that they'll be a little bit ready for when it comes out.
Right.
You did too, actually.
Yeah. Prep them first and then smack them.
Really learned some lessons.
Oh, that's all right. Delete that, Christie.
Her, we and her are the only people in the meeting, so there's no else.
Yeah, well,
Okay, can I ask for clarification? So these goals are something that staff came up with. They think that this is what we should push for. And a lot of these, again, getting back to what's staff and what's ours. A lot of this looks like staff, like the new chief is gonna need to come in and do the procedures, the training, I would add equipment and facility, physical plant structure, you know, to that. Public Works is gonna take care of these things. Fire station, 1 year, May 2024, is that correct? Or are you talking about we should start it now, or are you talking about starting it next May?
No, I think that the mayor's made it clear that we're gonna let the dust settle, and after a year has gone by, we'll get back into it. I don't want to put word in your mouth, Mr. Mayor.
No,
I thought
no,
we were
I-
coming up on the years.
it is on July 7th, 6th, I think is will be a year, and then we can start.
Okay,
But I don't think we're gonna do anything going for a bond or anything like that.
no.
For
We're-
a while.
We're gonna start from, we're gonna clean the slate, we're gonna start our research again and determine what it is we need. And what the public will pay for.
Right.
And what they believe we need and start educating and doing our research again.
Right.
Okay.
And yes. And you could be a big help since you're a fire chief. You could find out possibly the cost of these new stations that they've got around here, you know, like El Waco and what is that called? Banks?
Bank station, you can't even compare. Because everything, most everything was donated.
Oh, right.
The land was
Yeah.
donated, the lumber was donated.
Cabinets.
I mean, seriously, those guys, and they needed that station out on the highway. Their district is huge. And they respond to all the wrecks on Highway 26, all the wrecks on Highway 6.
Okay.
You know, I mean, trying to get out of downtown Banks to, you know, to go into the MVA, you know, on Highway 6 up some of, you know, I mean, it was
I
just,
think they're 160 square miles.
yeah.
And we're-
So, you know, I mean, this station here is, now that we've got the police chief hired, now that we've got Chad has had the homeless camp removed. And it's now just north of Westlake Coffee Shop. Okay,
Oh, are you kidding me?
no, that's as far as.
Sir.
I'm serious, anytime you go, you know, where Tim
Kelly?
Kelly. Okay, they moved, that's where they wound up.
We just yesterday, what's today? Monday, had to kick him out of Vanderwall's property.
Where?
Dr. Vanderwall.
Back by North Coast.
Yeah, and this was Kim, and this was the bad one.
Really?
The front.
Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah,
They wound up on the north side of Simon's place. And then they moved, and I noticed that they wound up at Tim's place. Did they move back down to Vanderwall's and
yeah,
then back up there?
yeah.
Did you put them,
They're just,
are there GPS trackers on them, or how do you know all this?
Chad,
It's a small community.
hey, Chad's, listen, this is, you know, the Wizard of Oz, okay? This is the guy behind the curtain.
Yeah. It kind of looks like him, doesn't he?
Well, no, seriously, I mean, anybody that says that Chad isn't doing his job doesn't know what they're talking about.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's on the important thing, sometimes it's not, but, you know, we should be careful what we get into here because we are on an agenda for goal sessions. So, yeah, there's some interesting news.
Well, that's was a goal.
So-
Well, let's go to- okay,
So
yeah.
now that we've got the police chief done, and now that we've got the homeless camp moved or like that, well, then I'm gonna start working on some ideas about the fire station.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
You're the go-to guy on that because you've got all that experience and I have none.
Preston, have you seen the Owaco Fire Station?
I will drive over there this week.
Okay, great. It's pretty impressive looking. I haven't been inside it, but I've driven by it a lot. And that's not a big community. Now, I don't know if they got like all kinds of grants or how they got such a nice place, but
I'll go over and talk to the chief,
All right, great.
you know? Yeah, thank you.
Is anybody else ready to do something?
Besides pare down our goals list.
Yeah. Besides pare that down, so it's,
I like that idea, that was a fantastic thing, and I think it compared down to what's important and where we plan on heading. And get it down to staff time.
we've got a CERT meeting on Thursday. I will talk to them about possibly getting some people to help go up and do some organization up there, Chad, and then we'll get together with you.
So our next meeting is the 7th of
June.
next Wednesday.
No,
The week, a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, we from our other city council meeting.
And sometime in the very near future after that, we'll have another work session because Chad and I will be on this. So we get this taken care of and we have some goals for everybody.
Took some notes, I'll get those, we'll get those out as well, from what we talked about, and then. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else got anything else they want to talk about at the work session? We're adjourned.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Volunteers.
What?
Just waiting for her to